just wanted to talk about fuel prices. I've seen a lot lately, for good reason, posts in the Facebook groups about fuel prices. They're really high, and it's weird because I used to be able to fill up in Wisconsin and get cheaper fuel, but that hasn't been the case honestly for like a month now. It feels like the truck stops have been super expensive. I've actually found better pricing on fuel fill-ups that aren't at truck stops, but then you're filling up with fuel that maybe has been sitting longer, isn't getting moved as quickly, so it's like, are you getting good fuel? But yesterday, so just to kind of put it into perspective, I was in the Ford yesterday. I was going to fill up in Indiana because I needed fuel. And the first station I was going to pull into off of Indiana 2, where I normally stop at, I don't remember what the station is called, but it's right after you get off 294 onto 2 there. I started to pull in and I looked up and I saw the fuel was $4.69 a gallon for diesel, which is insane because a few months ago, we were down to about $3 a gallon for diesel, sometimes a little under up in Wisconsin. So I was like, but I needed fuel. I wasn't going to make it very far. So I skipped that station, and there's one further up too that's not a truck stop. That one was a truck stop. There's one that's further up too that's not a truck stop. And I ended up filling up there for $4.29 a gallon. It was still expensive. It cost me $180, $185, I think I put in my fuel tank. Keep in mind, I don't have an auxiliary tank. That's just a factory 48 gallon tank. So $180, $185, something like that put in. And hooked up the trailer and Elkhart, took it up to Slinger, Wisconsin, burned about 40% of my fuel. And then I had to make a stop on the way home, but I basically used a half a tank from the time I filled up till the time I got home, and then like probably an additional 10% getting from my house to the fuel up. So about 60% of my so it cost me probably $135, I would say, to deliver that load in fuel, at least. And then, you add in like tolls. So I was probably about 160 in tolls and fuel to deliver that trailer up to Slinger, Wisconsin. That trailer pays $500. So it took me 8 hours to do that delivery. From the time I left my house to the time I got back was 8 hours. And $500, take out $160 for fuel and tolls. And then if you want to take out, additional 40 or so for maintenance, which probably should be about 50 for 10%. But I was left with right around $300 for a day's worth of work. I think it comes out to like $33 or $34 an hour. It's not terrible. It could definitely be worse, but spending an extra like $30 in fuel probably over what it was a few months ago. And then obviously the rates have not gone up, but that's what everybody's been kind of complaining about, is that the rates haven't gone up. I do think that it takes a little bit of time for something like that to happen. I've heard of the big companies adding in like fuel surcharges. I don't know much about that. The company that I run for, I don't think is going to add like a fuel surcharge. My rate hasn't changed by even a penny from when I started in November 2024 till now, March 2026. So all of 25 has stayed exactly the same, all of 26, and then to 24. I get $2 a mile minimum, no fuel discounts, no toll reimbursements, nothing like that. Up to $250. That's, I guess, the only thing that's changed is we started to get some dealer-to-dealer loads, and those pay $250. But the reason that they pay $2.50 a mile is because the miles are so little. It's usually Wisconsin to Wisconsin, and it only, even at $2.50 a mile, it only makes sense to do them when you're already delivering a load and you can pick one up somewhat near or at your delivery. Otherwise, deadheading to a dealership to pick up and deliver, some of these loads are only paying like $275, $300, so it doesn't make sense to deadhead to go get them. But yeah, so I just wanted to go over my thoughts. I mean, I would hope and expect that at least like the bigger companies are going to add a fuel surcharge, or increase their rates. I don't know what to expect. I mean, the company that I run for is hiring right now, and they are advertising the $2 a mile basically. So, or $2 to $2.50, which is what is advertised, depending on what you're pulling, where it's going, stuff like that. So I don't suspect that that's gonna change. We're just gonna make a little less, I guess, on each load. I'm not sure. I've heard from just reading that like some of the RV transport companies, they don't always pass along the fuel surcharge to the drivers, and they just pocket it and make more. I don't know if that's true. I know as far as an industry goes, it's kind of a crappy industry as far as like the drivers are considered. Not just from like the pay standpoint, but also like when it comes to damage and stuff like that. Drivers typically get the raw end of that deal and end up paying through their deductible or whatever bond. So let me know in the comments what you think. If you've gone through times where the fuel because I would say we should expect that diesel's gonna hit $5 a gallon within the next week or two, I would guess. And it may go up higher than that, but I'm interested to hear some people that have been doing it a little longer, especially if you were doing it like, I think diesel was probably around $5 a gallon, like 2008, 2010, during that economy. But that's pretty long ago now, so I don't know how many people, especially people on YouTube, have been doing it that long, but I'd be interested to know, just if you're a long timer, like what you would expect to see with the rates, if you think they're going to change, if you think they're going to stay the same. I've heard people say like just park the loads, don't take them. I don't think that's going to work, because there's always somebody willing to work, and that's any industry. Like I deal with that with my business, with gutter cleaning and power washing. Like I might quote a gutter cleaning at $200 or $250, and there's guys that'll do it for $50. You know, they don't have insurance, they don't have a business, they're just Joe Blow on Marketplace, and some customers they don't care. They're like, whatever, I'll take my chances with this bozo falling off my roof. He's only gonna charge me $50, you know. Hopefully he doesn't fall and sue me, type of thing. So there's always somebody willing to do the work, no matter how cheap it is. I can tell you my plan would be, I got about another month maybe before I really get busy with my business, and I'm just gonna prioritize that. Like if the fuel prices are gonna be super high, where I'm making $300 or $350 a day after expenses, I can make that in an hour or two working for myself. So I'll continue to do that, or pick that back up here pretty soon. But I definitely feel for the people that, the RV transporters, that this is their only source of income. So it might get a little bit rough here. So let me know in the comments what you think. If you've been doing it a while, definitely throw that down there. Let me know what you think is going to happen. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it.